Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Ducharme, and welcome to the Authentically You show. So excited to be back for another episode. I love doing this show because I get to interview people around the world doing authentic things, and very often they become great friends and even business partners. Before we get started, though, I do want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Synergy Learning Institute, a technical professional college that not only has 35 accredited courses, but as well has veteran transition programs for veterans transitioning to civilian life. And one of our well-known programs, Combat Boots to Heels, is a national program across the country. And one of the things we do is a program called Lead and Empower Her She Talks. And that program funds our Combat Boots to Heels program. So if you're wanting to check out a really neat program that gives women a platform to tell their story, then you want to check out Lead and Empower Her She Talks. It's happening in Houston on March 11th, and we have several other ones coming up as well. So if you want to get tickets, go to leadempowerher.com, check out our Houston event. And actually, one of the women I'm interviewing today will be a she talker as well. Her name is Shelby Jo Long. She's an executive with coaching experience that has spanned many industries and careers, including nonprofit organizations, real estate agents, government agencies, and other small businesses. With her experience in the realm of business communication, she has been asked to speak during training sessions for several large companies, and she is also central to the new manager and advanced manager training sessions with her local university. Shelby has been a professor, a director, and a debate programmer at Rocky Mountain College since 2006. Her concentration in the world of communication studies centers around business communication. She teaches courses in organizational comm, business comm, persuasion, small group communication, public speaking, political communication, debate, and she is also an author. We're going to talk about her book today. Shelby, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, and such a nice introduction. I'm so excited to be at the She Talks event in Houston. It's going to be great.
I am so excited to have you there too. You know, you're the only other professor that will be there with me. So I really love this because I feel like you and I have parallel stories. We were both professors in academia, but also entrepreneurs and moms and bosses. And we got to hang out some this weekend. And obviously, we're going to get to hang out again at She Talks and do a bunch of work together as well. So I'm really excited to talk about everything you're doing. And of course, this is near and dear to my heart because, oh, wait, let's move it over to the screen. Near and dear to my heart because I have been a person who's been pushing the gig economy for a long time. And as you know, at the colleges, they're very traditional. And so I used to get a lot of like scoffs and giggles when I would say gig economy, and people be like, that's never going to last. You need to go get a job where you're going to work for 30 years and get a good retirement. And so this is near and dear to my heart. And even though I haven't got to read it yet, I've read pieces of it and it already sounds amazing. But before we get too far into your book, I want to talk about your journey into entrepreneurship because from my understanding, you started out in academia, right? And then you slowly built this. So tell us how you transitioned, because that's not an easy transition. At least for me, it wasn't an easy transition to kind of integrate that into my life.
It's not an easy transition. And as you know, it's an uncomfortable transition too, because there's so many unknowns in entrepreneurship. You could have the best idea, but then you don't know how the marketplace is going to respond to it. So there's a lot of challenges to that. And I had been in academia for 15 years at that point, and for longer than that, because I coached the debate team before I started my schooling again and the full-time job as a professor. But then so a long time, and I was just ready for something else, but I didn't really know what that was. And so I had some friends that were consultants, and so I thought I'd dip my toes into and I had done some work for the Chamber of Commerce and the Big Sky Economic Development. I'd done some trainings, and I was like, why don't I make a business out of it? So that's when I started to formalize it. And then, so I think fundamentally it was just that I was looking for something else to do with my expertise. And, I love the title of your podcast. It's Authentically You. And I think for me, I felt that I was being authentic to myself, but maybe I wasn't being authentic to the influence I wanted to have, like I can be in my own business, because I can create my own business and I can focus my business around my skills, and I can create a life out of that, which is something that is extremely fulfilling, even though there's the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So that was kind of the journey, and there were failures. Like, it's not easy to go from speaking to a classroom and speaking to students and speaking for hours at a time when everybody has to listen to you, talk to a group of business professionals that are like, come on, when are we going to get to the ROI? What's going to happen here? So it's a different style of communication and a different way of transferring information. And that was one of the toughest lessons for me to learn. But that's what I talk about in my book too. That's the key to monetization, is discovering how to communicate in those different channels. So
Yeah.
that was
Well,
the inspiration, I guess, or the start to it. And then it's expanded since then. So
yeah. Well, and what you're speaking about really reminds me actually of the book, The Feminine Mystique, where women were feeling that they needed something more in their lives, and they were trying to figure out where that was. Now, obviously, this was back in the 60s and 50s, where women would go to college, but then it was expected that they would get married and they would stay home with the kids. But they had been educated and they felt this link, and I felt something similar like you. I loved academia at one point, and I loved being in the classroom with the students, but I felt this kind of longing need to push more because there was more of me to give, and I needed to give it outside of academia. And I thrive as an entrepreneur. I always tell people I live for it. So people are like, "How do you work so many hours?" I'm like, "I live for it. Like it's my favorite thing to do." And I think that's what I needed was, like you said, being authentic to myself. There wasn't anything wrong with academia, but I didn't see myself moving any farther past that one point.
yeah.
And I kind of felt like if this is it, then this can't be all of it for me. And like you said, the transition is not easy, right? The going from
Mhm.
students who like, yeah, they have to listen and they have to do what you say, to dealing with a client that's like, I don't want to listen to you. I may have hired you, but I don't want to listen to you. Which I'm sure you've experienced that at all as well. Totally
Absolutely.
different dynamics of dealing with good clients, tough clients, ornery clients, needy clients. When your phone rings and you're like, I just don't want to pick that up right now.
Yeah.
So I get that. And I love this because, and I'm sure you probably feel like this as well, but I love being my own boss.
Yeah.
At some point, academia got a little too political for me. I mean, I'm just going to be totally transparent about that. Now, I don't think all academia is, but where I was at, it got too political. And I was like,
I was here
I,
too. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, I'm done someone else telling me what to do. And I know that sounds, for some people, that may sound really weird, but for me, it was just like, I need to be able to have control of my destiny and what I do. And I don't want to work for 20 years and beg for a 10-year so I can work for medium money that I'll never get an increase on. Because if people don't know it, we'll just take the secret out of academia. We don't make a lot of,
No, we
and you
don't.
and you don't work up to a lot of money either. Okay. So like if you're like, oh, you guys make like hundreds of that. No, that doesn't happen. I'm just gonna give a reality check. I won't say the university, it's a very popular university. Starting professor job with doctorate, 50,000 a year. So I always tell people like, let's just take the romance out of academia for a moment, because people think that we make a lot of money in academia. And then we all sit around and laugh about that.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many enticing, and that was the challenging thing too, is that I love teaching. I
Mhm.
don't really like the admin piece was not
Yeah.
me. And to move up and to make more money, you have to be an admin. And that's
Yeah.
not where I wanted to be. And I love teaching, and I love I teach communication, and I love the connections that makes. And
Mhm.
I was teaching about business communication. I thought it was time to get into the businesses. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you have this book that came out called I See Your Genius, which
Yeah.
I just got autographed, guys, the other day. Look, it's autographed in there. Um, and this talks a lot as well about your journey, and then also transforming your idea into income, which I love this because this is the gig economy part. So obviously we want everyone to go purchase your book, but I would love for you to give a few teasers about this book and what your readers would be getting to learn as they read through your book.
Yeah, love to. It's funny because you talk to consultants and talk to people that are writing books, and they're like, I don't want to give away all my trade secrets, but really the trade secrets are there, and it just makes sense. And talking about the gig economy and how wide open the economy is now to people that want to create their businesses, and you can create any business you want and sell it to anybody in the world. We have that ability with the far reaching, internet. We can work with anybody all over the world. So it's really exciting to be able to do that. And creating a bit, you can create a business out of your expertise. People do it all the time, and they make a lot of money doing it. And if they solve a problem, then you can get paid for it. And if you solve an expensive problem, you can get paid pretty well for doing that, and you can create a business around it. There's people have created made millions of dollars out of creating email funnels and marketing campaigns and all sorts of things to be able to engage with customers and to create leads. You can pick a single thing to create it. So that the inspiration for the book came out of my journey of entrepreneurship, and then really what I help people do, which is to search for different monetization opportunities in their expertise. Mm. And one thing that comes very natural to me, as I'm sure it does to you too, is course creation and program creation, picking out key themes for people to fall into and to teach, and teaching an information rather than telling an piece of information. It's two very different ways of communicating. So that's really what it is about. And that's what my process is about. So I did my process and my online course and my digital course before I ever did the book, and made writing the book my book is a lot about that process, including my backstory and the monetization opportunities that you have. But that's really what the process is. And spoiler alert, I talk a lot about a brand and how your story is the center of your brand. And that's what I do with clients. I think that's one of the most challenging things to do with clients, because there's a ton of courses out there. There's a ton of information out there, but you're not going to resonate with an audience unless you put it in a context and give me some idea of where it came from and who's your ideal client, those kind of brand questions. Yeah. And then we all have ideas, but your ideas have to have a logical step-by-step process to accomplish something. You got to start somewhere. You got to have a process in the middle, and then you have to have a result, and then you have to have a way to assess it. So we talk about your brand. We talk about your idea. We talk about building community and how important that is. Particularly in the online economy, it's so important to build a community and have a conversation about this transformation, because people want to experience similar things. And then we talk about implementation being the right way to do it. So it's, which is different. The fun thing is that it's custom for every idea. I've worked with clients to create a program about how to monetize your ranch, different ways that you can use your ranch in the middle of Montana. Also have how to put together a wellness program for coaches, and a lot of athletic programs too. So it just can really be, the thing I like about it is it's really dynamic, and can be there is a process to follow with any industry or idea. So,
yeah. Well, and as you talk about like being able to make your idea and make money out of it, I just have to go back to the pet rock. Can we talk about the pet rock for a moment? Right. This person who came up with the pet rock made millions. And it was this rock you bought that was painted and you put in your pocket, and it was your pet, right? And it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but the marketing on it was brilliant. And so it just makes me think like you can sell anything if you have the right brand. This other lady, which is this one's a little more silly, but she would find moose poop and she would make out of it like little reindeer heads and like all these little gifts out of this moose poop, right? And so someone finally decided to do a little expose on her. And it was absolutely hilarious. But this woman was making millions off of people who just thought it was great to buy like moose poop items. Oh, they found it here. They're showing it on the screen, right? And the lady was a hoot as well. Like essentially her personality was her brand. But the reason I bring these up is because a lot of people have really great ideas. I'm just giggling because this is on the screen right now, the moose poop. But people will have these really great ideas, and it will never come to fruition because they don't have your process, right? And so, if you're someone out there thinking like, well, I kind of have this idea, you need to talk to Shelby, because this is what it's all about, is you just need a process. Sometimes you're the subject matter expert, but you're not a business person, and that's okay. Bring in the business person to help you with that subject matter expertise you have. And so I love that because, you know, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I run into people every day. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. But when you're an entrepreneur, you will work harder for yourself than you will for anyone else. It's not
Mhm.
easy. I call it a grieving process because sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you don't believe what's going on. Sometimes craziness happens. It's really like this up and down roller coaster as you're building out this business. And I don't say that to deter people from entrepreneurship. I just say it because sometimes you have to have this reality check of like, how bad do you want it? And, I'm like a dog with a bone. You give me something like, I am going to go get it. Not
Mhm.
everyone's like that. And
Right.
so that's where your book comes in and you come in, because there are some genius ideas out there that just have to be morphed into something. And that's why I mentioned those kind of silly ones, the pet rock and the moose poop. There was another woman, I'll mention one more, not that I'm remotely focusing on poop here, but there was a woman who would go out and
You must
collect
have
these.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. She would collect cow pies. Okay, now you're from Montana. I don't know if they do this, but in the Central Valley of California where I grew up, they would have cow pie throwing contests. And so you would get a cow pie that was pretty dry, maybe just a little wet in the middle, it threw better. And you would throw them, and whoever got the farthest would win, right? Now, yes, I know Central Valley, California right now is all putting their heads down, going like, Julie, I can't believe you're telling us people about the cow pie throwing contest. But we would do this at the fair, and it was great and it was
Sure.
hilarious. So the reason I mentioned this is this woman started collecting them, and then she started shellacking them and putting clocks on them, and then little signs that would say like, happy birthday, you old poop, right? Like, just total joke. The woman became a multi-millionaire because people thought it was amazing. And she's like, my overhead is like nothing. I just go out to the desert and collect cow poop. And I was just like, I can't believe this woman is making this much money. But it came down again that someone got a hold of her. They totally branded it. And here this woman is just like selling. I mean, could you ever imagine buying cow poop online?
But
But this woman, she was
there's a
selling
need.
it,
I mean, there's a market for it. People,
right? There's some.
and clearly they have, and it's kind of this kitschy thing. Yeah, it's crazy, but there is, I mean, people will buy the craziest things.
Right?
So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your idea is, because there is an audience for it, and it's about making the message that you are solving a problem, or you are giving somebody something that they want.
Yeah,
That's what capitalism is all about. And
yeah,
this economy is just wide open, and you can do whatever you want. I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah,
pay, how much money do we pay for, I just think of like LinkedIn marketing. We pay people to get into our LinkedIn and have conversations, or we
yeah,
pay digital marketers to create images. There's just, you can do one thing and be really successful, because there's
yeah,
an audience for that. If you
yeah,
solve the problem, then you're going to create a community around it. There's
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Shark Tank all day long. So, well, besides your book, I know you like I have a bunch of other things going on. We're multiple company owners. We do all this sorts of stuff. This is why I just feel like you're my twin from
I
Montana.
I
I
I
feel like
feel very similarly. We're very similar backgrounds.
I know.
Yeah.
So I know one that you are a co-owner in the Strategic Advisory Board company. Why don't you give us just a little summary of what that is about?
Yeah, the Strategic Advisor Board, we are a group of 10 individuals, and we are 10 industry. We're not industry specific. We all have different strengths. Jason Miller, myself, Michael Sipe, you can see all of us on the website. But the genius in this is that we all have different strengths, and we can all accomplish different things and serve our clients the best. And to have all 10 of us collectively coming together to create solutions for our clients is the best way that we can achieve that. What I do, the communication and the brand piece, and The course development is sometimes a part of that process, but communication is always a piece of it, because it's a really significant piece of your marketing and your customer relations and your employee relations and culture and all that. But it's only a piece of your business. You also need a website. You also need a technology, and we have somebody to deal with that. You also need a payment structure. You need to take money somehow, so we have somebody to deal with that. So the idea is that we're all under one roof, and we can create those solutions fast, and we have a trusted network of people to refer to. You're in the Strategic Advisor Board referral network because you're a trusted partner, and we have many trusted partners to be able to achieve those solutions.
Yeah.
I find that to be what I do is it's niche in the fact that it's content oriented and it's process oriented, but it needs to exist somewhere. So I need partners. I don't want to have to build my website to put that together, because I'm going to spend way more time building a website and agonizing over like putting all the tech pieces together than I would being able to exist in my genius and be authentic to myself. So finding the business partnerships that integrate, I think, are just critical for entrepreneurs, because you don't have to do everything, and you shouldn't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you're good at and what your strength is and what you want to do. And the other stuff, you can find other people to help with that.
Yeah.
That's what I find is so beneficial about the Strategic Advisor Board.
And yeah, I mean, what you're saying is, as entrepreneurs, we get so dug into the weeds. It's very natural for us, especially when we're first starting out, to try and do everything on our own. And I think I mentioned this to you when we were together on Saturday. I'm at this point in my career where I'm like, I don't need to make a whole nother new department. I'd rather just partner with someone who's already killing it, and we do it together, because why not? But younger years, I think, oh, I have to create everything. It has to be all mine. It has to be custom. And it's like, I look at it now and I'm like, that was so much work. So, and this is a brilliant group. You guys definitely need to check them out. I think they have also, like you said, referrals of like 250 strategic advisor referrals. Of course, the 10 people who are owners are all brilliant on this website too. I think I've met in person like 5 of you guys so far.
Yeah.
But why not, right? Why not as a company? You guys have worked with big companies. I think I saw IBM on your website and a long list of other companies. So, you guys have worked at every level. And just adding to your list of things to do, I know you mentioned that when you wrote this book, a publishing company came out of it. So what's going on with that?
Yeah. So in the idea of the Strategic Advisor Board is that you have industry, you have industry specific, you're doing your industry, but you need others to do with that. And nothing is more true than an independent publishing, that, yes, you write the book and the content comes from that, but then there's an editor, and there's a book designer, and there's a book coach, and there's a publisher, and all of those different pieces and industry professionals. Now we're all under one roof. The Rogue Publishing group that I'm a part of is a collection of publishing professionals to help you independently publish your book. And it makes the process seamless. And it is something that, writing a book is daunting, because you have to write that. But then now you can have help either ghostwriting it, putting together your ideas, the editing. You don't have to do it all on your own. And you can come up with a really nice, professionally published book. And honestly, your book is, as you know, it's such an asset to have for your business, because it introduces you to your audience. It acts as your business card. It's just something that is great to have, and something we encourage. So it's kind of a mini Strategic Advisor Board, only in the publishing industry. So
yeah. That's awesome. And where can they go to find out more? What's the website or link or whatever?
It's roguepublishingpartners.com.
Okay.
So Rogue Publishing Partners.
We'll put that in the link as well when we put that out. So roguepublishingpartners.com.
Yeah.
So check that out. And it's true. I know so many people who, we of course did that on our end here when I was publishing books. I originally went with a publishing company. The amount of money that they want from you up front for agents, for all these things, and then even then I still wasn't impressed with the process. And it was a bad experience. The first book I wrote was a kid's book. So after that, obviously Amazon is a great venue. You can reach people worldwide, and many self-publishers have become like best-selling authors that sell more than the New York Times, the
Right.
New York best-selling authors. So it's definitely something you guys should check out. I always feel like there's so many people with amazing stories that they need to tell, and they just need someone like you to help them get started on it. I always hear someone say like, I've been thinking about writing this book for like 7 years. And so
Probably time to do it.
it's time to do it. Well,
Yeah.
as we're winding down, I know that you are going to be doing a TEDx. So why don't we give everyone the information on the TEDx and if they want to come see you?
Yeah, the TEDx event in Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware, on August 28th, I think is the day of it, the last weekend in August. And I'm excited to speak about it. I'm going to talk about a lot in my book, and basically that when we think about leadership and we think about our own power and how we can step into leadership, that often it's limited by the industry that we're in. And
Mm.
by stepping outside of that industry, we can discover our full potential. Escape
Awesome.
the echo chamber.
Awesome.
The-
Well, and I know in Wilmington, when I went, you can take the train up from other states away. So if you're anywhere in that area, I had a couple of friends who just hopped on the train and rode on up there. So definitely in your area, check it out. Also, Shelby is going to be speaking at our Lead and Empower She Talks on March 11th in Houston. You can get tickets at leadandempowerher.com. And what's really cool about this event is all the ticket sales go to support our women veterans and a program called Combat Boots to Heels. Another great thing about this is that we have many veteran speakers this time around. And in the past, I'll tell you, and you lady veterans know this, I've said before, you're so hard to get because you're so awesome. You're like, I don't know if I need your help. Well, it's not that you need our help, but it's that we just want to empower and serve you because you guys empowered and served us in the military. And so really excited to have such a big group coming. We can only fit about 100 women. Last year we had 150. This venue is about 100. Rodeos in town. So we may be going to the Houston rodeo,
Can't wait.
but this event is just, it's hard to explain because you walk away with your cup so full and so overflowing. Our mission and vision is we are not your competitor, but we are your biggest supporter. And we're going to take each other up together. And that's something that women struggle with. I mean, I'm sure you've never met any mean, catty, backstabbing women, Shelby. I mean, in your profession.
Never in academia at all.
I know. I met just like a few, just a couple. And it was really when a real short story before we have to go, but just saying, and I know you can relate to this. I got to a position where I had all women bosses, and I was really excited because naively I thought, how amazing is this? We're all women. We're all working together. It's the first time I'm working with women. We're just going to rock this. It turned out to be like the biggest nightmare of my life. The women were mean and just horrible. And I remember leaving that position just devastated because I thought I couldn't understand why we couldn't join forces and work together. And that's really the vision behind Lead and Empower She Talks is we want to give everyone a platform to tell their story and to empower each other and support each other and create this safe place. And over the last 5 years, we've created this network of women that is epic. We're talking about barrier breakers in just about every industry, small businesses to large CEOs. We just come together. Top news anchors are crying with women veterans, and even though they're worlds apart in their story, their hearts have the same want. So if you guys are thinking about going to something, yes, I may be biased because I was part of creating this, but it empowers me more than anything I could do. And it's so awesome. And of course, we have a great vision for that. So Shelby's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We have a long list of other women who are going to be there. We even have some of our male counterparts coming who are going to give some great workshops to help empower your businesses. So definitely need to be there. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Shelby. This is so awesome. Make sure that you guys get your book. I got to move it over in front of the camera. It's on Amazon. I See Your Genius under Shelby Joe Long. And as I always say, live, love, laugh, and always be your authentic self.